And it's right at the end, so,
Yep.
okay,
Good.
great. Thanks, DJ.
Hey, thank you.
All right.
Just gonna have a rest tomorrow?
Say again?
Have a rest
Yeah,
tomorrow?
yeah. And then
Yeah.
go visit the family for the fifth time in like 2 weeks. But whatever, it's Christmas time, so do a bit of that, and yeah, that's about
Is
it.
everybody's hanging in okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's hanging in really well. I mean, it's probably this is a lot better than if she had stayed alive for another month or two or whatever, because it would have been just miserable for everybody, including her. So, you know, this is probably the best thing. So, yeah. Busy few weeks. Like I was really glad we had that snow day on Friday. I was really glad because I'm like, oh.
It's like dragon.
Well, and not just that. It was also like I was debating taking the day off anyway because the friggin' weather, and they're pretty serious about it being probably they said like for a lot of people it'd be a once in a lifetime type of blizzard. The cell looked pretty bad. I mean, around Hamilton we're pretty lucky here, but you get a little bit further, you know, Woodstock, London, and whatnot, and it's like,
It gets
you know,
really hairy.
all Bruce County, all the roads were closed, all of them. The 401 was closed, the 402 is
Wow.
closed. Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, everything's good.
The first major holiday after the passing like that is really hard.
It seems that would be the case, but
Yeah.
you know what? We're already kind of in the mindset, and we're already kind of, you know, I don't know. I think if it happened today, why can't they find the frequency and just keep
Leave it there.
this will go on for another half hour.
Yes.
I know it will. I know it will.
It's so much
Sorry.
fun. I got the power.
Anyway, that's just me
It's okay.
venting for a little bit. You know?
Hey, what's happening with the musical at school?
Oh, yeah, we got together a few times and did it, and yeah, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, but the kids, like, believe it or not, like, I'm really
They're not
impressed.
freaking out? Doing
No,
okay?
I'm really impressed. Like, I really am impressed with the strength of these kids. Like, they're not just musically, but you know, they seem to kind of be. You know, we opened up another lunch hour which sucks for me because I lose yet another lunch hour. But whatever, I'll do it. And so yeah, it's going to come together. It's going to come together.
Wow. See?
Believe it or not. Now,
Naysayers such as myself.
well, no, and me. But will it be? See, this is the thing. Like,
It won't be
you
as good as it could be.
You forget what happens and I don't mean this is in a bad way, but you kind of forget, like, when you do some professional shows, you realize that that's not the expectation when you're doing a high school show.
Yeah.
Now, it's got to be good, but is it going to be the level that you would have done at Theater Aquarius or whatever? No, and don't expect that. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, all right, no, okay, we're fine, we'll be all right. You know, is it going to be a little rough here and there and everywhere? Yeah. Will it be good? Will people pay to go see it? Will
Of
the
course, 'cause
parents?
their kids are
Will
in
the
it.
parents be happy and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, they will.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
will it be a nice triumphant thing after 3 years of COVID that we finally are using the
Absolutely.
auditorium?
Yes.
The kids are involved and da 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 da.
And you can't underestimate
And maybe
the,
that
the amount
means
of,
more
yeah,
than
exactly.
you know
Yeah.
the
Yes.
perfection of the. Maybe this just means something more, Beverly. You know that old story. Maybe Christmas means just a little bit more. You know the Grinch there. Remember? Yeah.
Yes. Maybe.
Maybe. Well, you know what I mean.
I do know.
So anyway, I think that aspect of it is important for the school morale, for everything. They
Yeah.
have a huge auditorium. It holds about 850 people,
Wow.
which is pretty big for a school auditorium.
Sure.
And it needs everything. It needs seats. It needs acoustic treatments. It needs lights. It needs a couple $100,000 worth of shit. So what they're trying to do, and I've been trying to push for it, I'm like, you need to get like a superintendent or somebody like that in here who can write a big check.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yes.
And
yes.
even
yes.
just to do the seats is probably 50 grand or more. And they have to be done. They're ripped and torn and they're old. They're old.
Yeah, and if you use the space and people see how dilapidated it is, it may encourage someone to open purse strings and yeah.
That's what I'm getting at,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
so
it's
that
and
all-
it's
that
and
makes
it's one of
sense.
the biggest auditoriums in the school board. And it's been in the past. It's been heralded as one of the better auditoriums to do this, that, and the other. But wear and tear, blah blah blah. And 20, 30 grand isn't going to do it. 50 grand isn't going to be enough. Like you're going to need some,
100, yeah,
and you're going
yeah.
to need some not just school board, provincial money, but also a sort of incentive to do some fundraising.
Fundraising, absolutely.
Hey, let's raise a couple $100 grand. Let's do this. Let's do it right. Because I know how much expensive all that stuff can be.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
is. And I'm talking gut it and redo it. I'm not talking patch jobs here. You know what I mean?
That's right,
No,
on
I'm
seats.
talking gut it and redo it.
Yes.
Because we're talking all auditorium seating. That's
Yeah,
all got to
that's
be done.
serious. Yeah.
And I don't know, you hire professionals to do that. Like, I don't even know who does that, but I could find out. And you get a couple quotes, and you get these guys in, and they scope it all out and put in some nice seating, yada, yada. You get light guys to do the same.
Yeah.
You get audio guys to do the same. You blah, blah, blah. And you set it up. And in conjunction with the music department and the art
Theater,
department and
yes.
theater and whatnot, and me, we'll sit down and come up with some ideas, some do's and don'ts, some stuff you definitely want, some stuff you want to avoid, yada yada. But we're not talking peanuts here, right? So doing that show would be part and parcel of getting somebody in to look at that. And we've already talked to the principal several times. He's on board, but it's out of his hands in that he can't write the check.
Right.
He's got to get
But he's got to be
bigger
on,
people
on side,
involved.
Though.
Oh yeah,
Right.
no,
Gotta
he's
be a
on
major
side.
advocate for a project
Right,
like that.
right. But it's going to take like more, like basically rubbing elbows and getting the right. These superintendents and all these assholes who make 200 and more grand a year, is time for them to actually step up and do something.
Yep.
Actually
Daphne. Test, test, good evening.
for the hymn, I'll keep it on the stand. Beverly? Okay. Very important. Someday at Christmas, men won't be boys, playing with bombs like kids play with toys. One warm December, our hearts will see a world where men are free. Someday at Christmas, there'll be no wars when we have learned what Christmas is for, when we have found what life's really worth, there'll be peace on earth. Someday all our dreams will come to be, someday in a world where men are free. Maybe not in time for you and me, but someday at Christmas time. Someday at Christmas, we'll see a land with no hungry children, no empty hand. One happy morning, people will share a world where people care. Someday at Christmas, there'll be no tears when all men are equal and no man has fears. One shining moment, one prayer away from our world today. Someday all our dreams will come to be, someday in a world where men are free. Maybe not in time for you and me, but someday at Christmas time. Someday at Christmas, man will not fail. Hate will be gone and love will prevail. Someday a new world that we can start with hope in every heart. Someday all our dreams will come to be, someday in a world where men are free. Maybe not in time for you and me, but someday at Christmas time. Someday at Christmas time.
preparing for the future. The stewardship of the original people who lived here preserved this place for our generation. We seek to be respectful stewards of this place for those who follow.
Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, today you are one of us and you are welcome in this house of worship. Our mission is to nurture one another, serve the community, and inspire action to heal the world.
Our chalice lighting reading is titled Fellow Sojourners by Dan Lambert. We gather together on this Christmas Eve as fellow sojourners, looking for light, for hope, for peace, for love. We gather as people from many backgrounds, many cultures, many spiritual paths. But as we light this chalice, we gather as one body, looking to the Nativity for its message to all of humanity. It's a message that there is light, there is hope, there is peace, and there is love. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. May the flame of our light of friendship and love
Good evening. It is good to be with you on this Christmas Eve. My name is Reverend Jamie Boyce. My pronouns are she, her, and I have the great privilege of serving this congregation as its interim minister. Welcome to our annual Christmas Eve candlelight service. This is our first Christmas Eve service in the sanctuary together in 3 years. A winter weather event conspired to keep us apart yesterday, but this morning the sun appeared, the wind slowed, and here we are in the warmth of community, in the presence of our beloved chalice to celebrate Christmas once again. Tonight we gather to calm restless, eager spirits, to open our hearts and welcome peace, hope, love, and joy into the world. We gather to remind ourselves in telling the Christmas story that every night a child is born is a holy night. We gather as those who keep watch over the world in the night, ready to receive the good news of great joy that tonight a child is born in Bethlehem. Let us open our hearts and minds as we dwell together in a familiar story and encounter the mystery of hope in our lives and in the world as we gather to worship on this glorious night. Please rise as you are willing and able for our first hymn, 426, O Little Town of Bethlehem. And I believe the words will be behind me.
Town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and tree.
from the second book of Luke. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. This taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. So all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, being of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room to be had in the inn. And there were in the same country shepherds in the field, keeping watch over the flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round and about them, and they were so afraid. Then the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. We shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was an angel, a multitude of heavenly hosts praised God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill towards men.
For so the children come, by Sophia Lyons Foz. For so the children come, and so they have been coming, always in the same way they come, born of seed, of man and woman. No angels herald their beginnings. No prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show, to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers, mothers, parents, sitting beside their children's cribs, feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end, or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, and a time for worshiping. We will now take our offering. The offertory reading is by Victoria Weinstein, titled Generosity of Spirit. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit to support our affordable housing partner, Sacagawea, who will soon open 24 more affordable housing units for Indigenous people living in our city. This will help Sacagawea provide basics to make your residents feel at home. Our offertory music is 225, O Come, Emmanuel.
Children dwell. Give
cheer our spirits by your presence here, and on in every broken soul, as vision that can see thee whole. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as light to dwell. Oh, come ye wisdom from on high, from depths that hide within a sigh, to temper knowledge with our care, to render every act a prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as hope do dwell.
Emmanuel means God is with us. O come, Emmanuel is a hymn that paces in the tension and longing for a God that feels far away. The song itself goes back to the 8th or 9th century and was allegedly a Latin monastic chant. The exact origins of the hymn remain mysterious, which feels fitting for a song about the mystery of God dwelling in the world. It was rediscovered by Anglican priest John Mason Neale, who translated it and published the lyrics in his influential book, Medieval Hymns and Sequences, in 1851. O come, Emmanuel is full of moody suspense and tenderness in its grand wish that God dwell among us and relieve the world of its suffering. Traditionally sung during Advent, it bears witness to the waiting season, the pregnant season, the uprooted season, the painful and scary seasons of our lives. It reminds us that the Christian story is a celebration of the arrival of hope, peace, love, and joy into the world, but that celebration erupts in the presence of human hurting. It feels right to wrap this tune around the homily this year. It has been a moody few days, nestled inside a few moody and unpredictable years of change, separation, and distance. We've been waiting and keeping watch, like the shepherds in the fields waiting for the good news, the arrival of hope into our world to relieve us, if just for a moment, of our vigilant surveillance over everything. These years have been watchful years indeed, and I can't help but notice the shepherds in the Christmas story this year. As Mary and Joseph welcome Jesus in the manger in Bethlehem, there they are, keeping watch over the fields. And it isn't often that we dwell in this part of the Christmas story, consider why the shepherds are so important, but there they are, right in the middle of the story. The text reads, "Now in that same region of Bethlehem, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone down around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, 'Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people.'" Now, when I was preparing this service a few weeks ago, I imagined all of us gathered for the first time in 3 years to sing Silent Night. I was really looking forward to it. I imagined us lighting the candles of hope and peace as we welcome Christmas together again. I didn't expect that I would be waiting perched at my window, keeping watch over the weather event of the decade, watching the winds swirl outside, conspiring to keep us apart again. As I waited and watched, I thought about you, about this beloved community and the magnificent journey that we've been on in the last year and a half. Much of our time has been spent waiting and watching the world unfold and change before us, and we've been keeping close the things that are most important. These days have been curious indeed. And leading up to Christmas, I'm reminded of the Irish Celtic Christian mystic John O'Donohue, who reminds us that at Christmas, time deepens. The Celtic imagination knew that time is eternity in disguise. They embraced the day as a sacred space. Christmas reminds us to glory in the simplicity and wonder of one day. It unveils the extraordinary that our hurried lives conceal and neglect. These have been watchful years, and I can't help but be pulled into the story of the shepherds at Christmas. Dropping into the text, one might think, following the story of the shepherds, that the story was really about them. So much of the story moves through their experience of the birth of Jesus. They are among the first to receive the good news that on this day a Savior is born in Bethlehem. They are among the first to make the journey to Bethlehem to witness the baby. This centering of the story on the shepherds has baffled scholars, and there is a long tradition of Christian interpretation that completely misunderstands the importance of shepherds in Jewish life. Biblical scholar David Cruteau reminds us that stories of shepherds and shepherding are numerous in biblical texts, Old Testament and New. Indeed, Abraham, Moses, and David were all connected to shepherding. Given the importance of the job of tending to the flock at night when danger lurks, the livelihood of Jewish culture is at stake. The shepherds were tending not only to the fruits and labors of their community, they were tending to the tradition of Abraham, Moses, and David. They are keeping watch over time, history, culture, land, and life. Perhaps Christmas this year is about noticing ourselves in the waiting and the watching, and then discovering what we are longing for has already arrived. And maybe it has been with us all along. We are all shepherds in the night watching over the world, attuned to the earth, the sky, and the horizon. The invitation to witness the arrival of goodness and hope is an invitation to witness the holy in our lives as it arrives as a baby, as it arrives as a child born of a mother in a manger in the shadow of empire. Like the shepherds in the Christmas story, we've been keeping watch, taking turns, taking care of the flock, taking care of each other. It's a job of great importance, this watching over the flock. The whole community is trusting the shepherd to take good care of those placed in their charge. It is a job bigger than one person with a lot of responsibility. You've been good shepherds to each other these last years. You've tended lovingly and carefully to our Unitarian Universalist tradition in difficult times. You've followed the flame of our chalice as it calls you to justice and widening the circle of care and concern in our world. You've kept good watch over the world, showing joy as it is born and celebrating that too. Poet David White reminds us that holiness dissolves the prison of time and lies only one short breath from the present busy moment. One look into the starry darkness of the midwinter sky at the midnight hour, one glance at a son or a daughter's face, home through the door, one sight of a distressed friend alone in the midst of a crowded celebration. Holiness is a step taken not to the left or to the right, but straight through the present, besieging our outer circumstances to the core of the pattern we inhabit at the very center of celebration. So much of the Christmas story is about waiting and keeping watch. Waiting and keeping watch for the holy as it arrives in our life. Tonight, we pause in the stillness and the silence of this night and bear witness and welcome the mystery of hope as it arrives in a story about a woman and her baby. We pause, keeping watch for justice, inviting the flame of love and hope to renew our commitments, renew our spirits, and open our hearts wider as we welcome a child of God among us. O come, Emmanuel, dwell in us and among us, and may we be changed and renewed in our commitment to love the world wildly with our hearts turned towards justice. Let us receive the message of the angels as those keeping watch over the world today and every day. May there be peace on earth and goodwill among us on this silent, holy night, a night where every night a child is born is a holy night. May it be so.
The Holy Dwells in Each of Us by Renee Rutkotsky. The Spirit of the Holy dwells in each of us. The Spirit of love dwells in each of us. May the flames in our hands remind us that eternal love dwells in our hearts. May the flames in our hand remind us that the Spirit of life dwells among us as we gather as a faith community. May the flames in our hands remind us that the arc of the universe needs our embodied love and faith to bend towards justice.
Go, beloveds, stilled in an impatient world, ready to love, ready to receive hope, peace, joy, prepared to work for justice. Let the words of Howard Thurman renew and fortify your commitment. Now the work of Christmas begins. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the heart. We extinguish these flames, but not the fire in our hearts. Let this silent night be a holy night.
As far as love is found, as far as love is found.
Merry Christmas.